Hey guys, it's 11 o'clock, so I wanted to get started. So let's do that. My son's dog Yuki may bark while we're doing this, but that's okay. Let me know if the audio needs to go up or down. I think it's okay. I've got two folks on. Who's here? I know it takes like there's a 10-second lag. So you two who are here, let me know who you are. This is that awkward stage where I'm just waiting for feedback. Okay. Got Thompson is here. Now it's only showing one, so I don't know if they dropped or what's going on. Okay. Give me a couple of minutes to see how many more get in the channel or whatever you call this so that we can talk about the essay. Any questions that you may have? Is it Gina or Gianna? Okay, you're gone. Elise, you have any questions, Elise? I'm showing nobody's in the chat room, but obviously the number's wrong. Hopefully. Okay, Elise wants to know what format we should write the essay in. Generally, what I would say is you want to address the phrase in the first paragraph. And then what you will do is you will talk about the two aspects of the phrase. So when you talk about paving the planet, then you will say, here's what that entails according to Loy's description, and here's what's wrong with that and the problems with that particular approach. And then you would go to another couple of paragraphs and talk about the right way wearing shoes and what that would entail. So it's possible that you may not get two full pages, but I almost hate to say that because then somebody will give me a paragraph and think it's enough. But that's really about, a good strong conclusion, and that should be it. Does that help, Elise? Okay. Yeah, the main issue is understanding what he meant based off the paragraph where he mentioned the phrases. Yeah, he does a whole lot and then he gets to the phrase. So what page? Let's see. What page is that on? I'm looking for it. If you can help me, let me know. 70. Okay, thanks. Page 70. All right. So all this, that's the second to the bottom. All this is expressed best in a Tibetan Buddhist analogy. The world is full of thorns and sharp stones. What should we do about this? One solution is to pave over the entire earth, but a simpler alternative is to wear shoes. One thing that's I'm sure you two are the ones that looked at it. One of the things that really bothered me is I looked this morning as I started to open up YouTube that only 2 folks had viewed that essay. I mean, that video that I sent out yesterday. I go into it a little bit detailed there, but I sure don't mind helping you with this. Think about it just off, just think about it for a second. The world is full of stones. What do? Do you pave the entire earth? Well, we need to kind of look at this not as a literal understanding, but more literally. What would happen if you paved the entire earth? It would kill everything, right? So paving the planet is not a good thing. So then you look over at his what he says about paving the whole planet is a good metaphor for our collective technological and economic project. Without the wisdom of self-limitation, we will not be satisfied even when we've used up all of our Earth's resources. So what he's saying is, this is bad. It's the current economic system that we have. And since this is based on greed, then it's not going to end well. So what I would then do is go to the particular aspects where he talks about greed and how damaging it is, and then explain that. Now, there's something else I'm looking for. Okay. One of the things about greed that students have been getting wrong, a few of you guys have done this. On page 68, he says in the first full paragraph there, using these forms of greed to motivate people has been extraordinarily successful. And so some of you have said, okay, so paving the planet is a good thing because greed has been extraordinarily successful. However, just like, remember in the Sally McFay, where she talked about some people don't believe that religion and economics should mix, but then she went on to refute that in the next paragraph. Lloyd does the same thing here. He says, but it's even in the same sentence, depending, of course, on your definition of success. So then he says more goods were consumed in 40 years. And then he goes on and yeah, and then it gives us opportunities our grandparents never dreamed of. But the read the rest of that paragraph and especially the last paragraph. But those grim faces about their dukkha should not keep us from noticing the consequences of our own dukkha. Then he says for Buddhism, the fundamental problem with consumerism is the delusion that consuming is a way to be happy. So that's another area that you can deal with there. All right, I'm going back up to page 70. I can't show you that on this YouTube system. All right, so next he goes to, on that last paragraph, or second to last, the other solution is for our minds to learn how to wear shoes. So our collective ends become an expression of the renewable means that the biosphere provides. So wearing shoes means that we are going to be more open to how the biosphere works and how, if you keep using and using and using the stuff in the biosphere, you're going to kill the earth. So that will be an issue that's a real problem. So wearing shoes means that we need to change our mindset so that we are not so consumed with consuming and being consumers. All right. No, the good thing about paving, there is no good thing about paving the planet. Um, so the question was, so the good thing about paving the planet is that it motivates people and provides opportunities. No, because if you look at what it's doing now, which is the current project or process, we're destroying the earth, and the gap in income is not is widening. So paving the planet is never a good thing. Does that make sense? Again, it's similar to McVeigh. McVeigh's argument that um, good. So it's similar to McVeigh's argument in that she's critiquing the current system because it doesn't work. It's built on greed, it's built on consumerism, and that mindset is never good for the planet. So what you're seeing from Loy is a little twist, but it is kind of a Buddhist twist and is helpful if you read that section under page 68 and on down. All right, let me do one more thing. I've gone through some of the discussion boards, not all. And and I have at the request of somebody last time to go a little easier on you. If you did if you gave it a shot and did all the, responded to others, then you're going to get probably an 80. If you don't, reply to 2, it's going to suffer. If you get it all, if you have the right idea, then you'll get 100. If you're almost there, you might get a 90, that sort of thing. However, I cannot remember the student's last name. First name is TROI. Let me go over here. Troy Ensley, Ensley. Her post in the discussion board for this was pretty short. But she was on the money. She had the idea of paving the planet wrong and wearing shoes good, and she got into it a little bit, but not in great depth. But she did a really good job. Then Chloe Sterling did a much more complete job. So look at those 2 posts. I'm sure there are more, but we've got, I'm just behind. I had to redo the turn it in because it wasn't working. So I had to go to each individual one and go back through and then go back through and then it was a lot of work. So I'm a little bit behind, but the least you can do right now is look at the previous video, which nobody really did, except me and one other person. And then back up on this one, and watch it. My last YouTube live, I think, got 70 or 80 views or something like that. So I know some were going over it and over it. That's good. Brittany, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but start off with describing the phrase and what it means. And then you will just go to, okay, let's take a look at wearing shoes. Paving the planet and what's wrong with that, according to Loy. And that should take a couple of paragraphs at least. And then the next, you would see what's right about wearing shoes and what that world would look like according to Loy's description. And that should be close to a page and a half. So, but I always hate to say, you can do it in a page, because I had a student several years ago that did a fantastic job on a paper, and it was like a page and a quarter. And then I showed it to students as a good paper, and they were saying, well, it's not long enough. Well, this person was real concise, she really everything in her paper was just directly related to the essay prompt, and so it was really good. So I don't like to say that you can use uh, fewer pages, but just do the best you can and realize getting 2 pages might be really, really tough. So um, make sure you fully explain what the paving the planet looks like and why it's wrong using all of Loy's arguments against it. And then make sure that you explain what wearing shoes would look like and how that would help the earth. Hope that helps. Yes, that is correct. It doesn't have to be 2 pages long, but you need to fully address everything. So, um, the problem with that is if somebody turns in 1 page and they get a 70 on it and they say, well, you told us it didn't have to be 2 pages. Well, so that's kind of a dilemma I have with saying this. So you could probably get an A on a paper that's a page and a half that's really solid, and you could get a C on a paper that's 2 pages that just describes, spends a half page describing ill will or delusion or other terms that he uses that aren't really necessarily focused on the question. So I hope that helps. Any other questions? I like to keep these under 20 minutes, but if you have any other questions, let me know. All right. While I'm waiting for another question, I will answer a question that is, well, it's not being asked, but it's important. If you go to Brightspace, you can see that you can do a religious visit to replace the first essay. And yeah, that's somebody already just asked how that works. Let me go to Brightspace and I'll show you. All right, I'm going to Brightspace and we are going to content. And under content, you see a tab on the very bottom, religious visit instructions. You click on that. It says religious visit paper summer 2. And it has pretty, about a page and a half or strong page of instructions what to do. So you can look at that, and it's pretty self-explanatory. I would print out this paper and take it with me if I was going to a service. Now, if you are a Christian, you cannot go to a Christian service. Now, I've had students ask me before, hey, I'm Catholic, can I go to a Baptist service? And I did my best to not be sarcastic, but I'm saying, the answer was, are you saying Catholics aren't Christians or Baptists aren't Christians? So make sure you don't make that mistake, because if you are non-denominational Christian and you go to a Catholic service, then you're not going to get credit for it. Now, it's a great learning experience, but you won't be given credit for it. So that's how that will work. All right, good questions. Is it Gina or G, like Geena, or is it different, pronounced differently? Okay, if you notice, I did move the paper and the religious visit back to Saturday. Okay, Gina. All right. I moved them both back to Saturday so that you have time to. Now, if you're going to a Christian service, you're probably in trouble because they won't have. Usually, their services are on, Sunday. Now, if you are Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist and want to go to a Christian service, um, you can find a Catholic mass almost any time in New Orleans. So if you wanted to do that, if you're a non-Christian and you want to go to a Christian service, you can do that. Our I don't know if they do it in the summer, but our chapel usually has one every day. But just look up a Catholic church close to you and find out when their mass is, and you can go to that, unless you're a Christian. All right. Any more questions? I'll try to keep it down to 20 minutes. We're at 11:21. So again, take a look at Troy Inslee's discussion on this topic. Look at Chloe Sterling's, and that should give you a little bit of help. All right. You guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in, and do well.